Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Reach Online. As you heard last week, that's how we're going to be meeting you every single week. So while we're in lockdown and there's uncertainty, we're just going to come to you every week. So we're really hoping that you're participating in your groups and that you are staying connected and being in touch with people around you. Isolation is really not a good thing that we should go through right now. So tonight's topic, I've asked Greg to come online and help us. So he's going to be answering some questions for us. As you know, Greg is one of the board members of Reach. He's been involved at Reach for a very long time. And he's actually helped us write this material, which is really good because it just shows you that Reach is growing and it is organic and it is changing. So let's get straight into the topic tonight. Good evening, Greg. How are you?
Very well, Brian. Thank you for allowing me to participate in this and giving material for the viewers to use to the recovery, and for those that that can use it for the their family members that are recovering.
100%. So we've got a few questions that we want you to answer for us tonight. Let's jump straight in. So the first one is what is a trigger?
Well, Brian, we start off. Triggers are normally from an internal or external. They remind us, the reminders of that causes a person to crave. For instance, drugs, people in addiction, your behavior. I give you examples of pornography, gambling, alcohol, anything that will put you into a situation that you shouldn't be using. Eventually causes them to act out, on strange behaviors. So, a trigger, it could be many things. This example, external triggers can be locations, smells, exposure. Internal triggers, maybe strong emotions, physical symptoms such as pain, or even just about using or acting out, can be a trigger. Whether triggers internal or external, it will often remind us of the past, of our behavior in addiction, especially drugs. That's one of the biggest triggers. Is everyday life is basically a trigger in drugs. Although this reminder does not force you to use drugs or act out, it severely increases your likelihood of it. Triggers can be almost anything that addicted brain associates with the reward of a certain behavior.
So for me, what you're trying to say to us here is, like we always say to everybody, familiar faces and slippery places. So we shouldn't go and see the people that we used to maybe use with, or we used to gamble with or drink with, or even people that we just got up to bad behavior with. And maybe we shouldn't go to places anymore where we used to use, or we were more inclined to have bad behavior at, because that would be our internal and external triggers.
100%, Brian. Especially for those in deep addiction, a reminder of a place that they don't have to associate with, escaping from the world, if I can put it. It's their go-to place where things just get out of control, and a lot of times those triggers, just remind them of that place, and they sometimes go to that place because they don't want to deal with the issues they have at the moment.
Okay, so now that we know what a trigger is and where we can maybe get them from internal or external, or having deep emotion or going to a specific place, what can be a trigger? What sort of things can be a trigger for someone?
Brian, that's it's a big list. People, for instance, your dealers. When we talk about drinking and drug friends, it's going to the bars and hanging out in social groups where it's so easily obtained, like places, especially clubs, garages, parks, rooms. It's where the gathering is of people in addiction that normally collect together, that it's so easy where triggers can be triggered. Things are like alcohol, drugs, money, even TV ads, medication, music, movies, computers. There's a lot of triggers of associated with these people. Times, especially people after work or payday. Weekends is the biggest trigger, especially a Friday. People look forward to a Friday because they've already set out their program of how they're going to use and when they should use and who they're going to use with. In situations, boredom is a big trigger because they feel isolated. They've got no one to share their feelings with, their hurts or their hang-ups or their cravings with. So boredom is the biggest trigger in addiction. Loneliness, hunger, stress. A lot of people you'll find with the generation, stress is a big trigger because they don't know how to cope with the life, they don't have the life skills at the moment. Functions, weddings, birthdays, those are a lot of places where people can, have triggers because it's really available these days. Biggest thing is celebration as well. When people go to a party or they're celebrating a new job or an increase or just celebrating with their friends. Watching sport, playing games. And a lot of times, for instance, with gaming, the guys take drugs just to get that extra 2-3 hours or try to get their mental focus. One of the biggest triggers, and especially I would say on the female side, is the emotions. This, your senses, touch, smell, hear, see, taste. And when I talk about emotions, it's your happy state, your anger state, your frustrated state, even your rejection. That could be major triggers. And I would say that's mostly on the female side, because men work with their brain, they don't work with emotions, which women work with more of the emotion. So triggers could be a multitude of things, Brian. It all depends on where you are and what situation you're in at that moment of time, and what frame of mind you are in that moment of time. And it depends person to person.
I like what you said there about it can be a specific time, because we generally do take Fridays would be payday for weekly paid people, and they would get money, and then it would be kind of that we would get into our rituals and our habits of using or going out to a bar or going out for a drink. And also you mentioned their TV ads and maybe being online or something like that. Because if you go to the pornography side of things, you could get a trigger. You see a picture of a naked person, or not even a naked person, just something that stimulates your brain in that way. And there you've been triggered and you can go on. But I want to come back to what you said there. And you said with the senses. So how would you say a trigger can relate to our senses?
All right, so let's take a step back. All right, so your mind is the most powerful thing God has given us. So God says we must also use it wisely. So if I take your brain out of your head, what are you? You're nothing. So therefore your brain or your mind is the most powerful thing. It actually controls what we do daily. So your brain is constantly collecting information, thoughts through your senses, continues through the whole day, million of information has been bombarded with your brain without you knowing it, consciously and subconsciously. So when we talk about the senses, we generally talk about a touch, a smell, a hear, a see, and a taste. So your addiction can be linked to one or even multiple senses. Right? For example, boredom is linked to not hearing and not seeing. If I do not hear anything and I do not see anything, I get bored. So if I do not hear, I get bored. So therefore, it's one of my triggers is triggering me to now, I need to activate myself. So therefore, let me go find my addiction. Alcohol is linked to all the senses. Have you ever walked into a club and everybody's saying, shh, don't talk, there's no noise, there's alcohol, of taste, there's smell of the environment. You can hear the people talking, there's music, you can see the interactive, and the taste of the alcohol. So alcohol is linked to all your senses, So coming to your triggers, you have multiple triggers or single latitude triggers that can actually trigger you at any time. But most of it is triggered by your state of your mind, where you are at that situation. Like I said earlier, whether you're angry, you're happy, or sad, it's when your frame of mind is in a situation that these triggers are triggered more sensitively than others.
That's awesome, and it's why I wanted to ask you that, because we are sensual beings, so we're constantly relying on our senses. We constantly relying on being, as you put it, activated and hearing stuff, seeing stuff, touching stuff, feeling stuff. And I actually read an article a while ago that if you put somebody in a room where they cannot see and cannot hear, they can actually go insane. because they're so used to having all of this stuff, and now you've taken it away. So I really, really like that. And also there where you said, where we got to look at situations where we might go to a place. What are we going to see? What are we going to smell? What are we going to hear? What are we going to, and this for me is big, because the Bible says to us we need to be careful what we put into our bodies, in the sense of what we see, what we hear, what we touch, what we feel, what we expose ourselves to. So I think this is very important in putting together a recovery plan or a relapse prevention plan. If you're in the early days of recovery, is seeing what you expose to when you go somewhere. And that will come back to all of our senses. Let's use our senses to see.
Very true.
Be a trigger for us. I really like that. So then I want to ask you the next question, which is, what should I do when I am triggered? Let's say we shouldn't, but we've gone to one of these places. We find ourselves in this situation. Now I've been activated. I'm triggered. What do I do now?
Well, Brian, yet again, it depends on person to person. We can talk about a lot of things, but the main thing is thought replacement. When an unwanted thought enters, immediately replace it with a healthy, rational thought. You can talk to yourself, say, stop, I don't need that anymore. I'm not going to do that. It's a sense of knowing what you got to do as consequences. So visualization, visualize a positive, healthy image. Quality time, success, money, buy a car. Say to yourself, if I go into my addiction, I'm not going to have enough money to put a deposit down for my new house. So there's always a consequences of thought behind all this. Adverse replacements, thoughts of addiction can be replaced by words, saying to yourself, that's not good for me. It's unhealthy for me. If I do this, I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to harm myself. It's disgusting. Why am I doing this? Constantly talking to yourself. We call it self-talk. Consequences of using. What happens if I do use? Am I going to destroy myself, my family, my friends? You must remember, in addiction, we affect at least about 30 people indirectly around us, not knowingly that we're affecting them. A list of benefits not using, recognizing all the negatives that we have changed into a positive since we are clean. All that money I've wasted, all that time I've wasted, you can never get it back. Being positive, clean is saying to yourself, what have I achieved? Look what I'm achieving at the moment. A big thing about, when you have a trigger, it's relaxation. Breathing exercises, for example, breathing for 4 seconds, hold it for 7 seconds, and out for 8 seconds. There's very different types of relaxation. Meditation is a very good sense, of trying to relax. Call somebody. That's the biggest thing, is we never communicate when we have a trigger. You must never isolate yourself in these situations. Communicate it. Call somebody, especially if you have a relapse prevention plan or a boundary. So my first go-to is, this person's going to help me with this situation. So pick up the phone and say to them, listen, Brian, I have a problem. I've got a trigger. And you should be able to discuss it, or whatever your go-to plan is. Go back to that plan and say, right, revisit it. When my trigger happens, what am I going to do about it? It also allows you to hear your thinking process. And what's very important about this is support and accountability partners. You cannot do this alone. I've got to emphasize, you're not the only person in addiction. There's a lot of people. And like I said, you affect 30 people around you. Use those people to help you go through the addiction, and the person in addiction doesn't have all the issues, basically. It's the person around it. The family has all the issues. But if you don't tell them how you're feeling, how are they going to know about it?
You touched on some really good points there that I like, and I want to go back to the first one where you said thought replacement. For me, that is Romans 12, verse 2. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. We need to take every thought captive that comes into our mind, and we need a new mind. We kind of need to think differently. And this is not just for people in addiction. This is for people that have hurts, hang-ups, and habits. No matter what you're doing, we need to take these thoughts captive, and we need to think about those. The visualization thing is once again, the Bible says to us, God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit were speaking at the Tower of Babel, and God said that about us, the human beings. He said, nothing that we can imagine, we will be able to, nothing that we cannot imagine, we will not be able to achieve. So whatever you set your mind to, you will be able to achieve. So we need to visualize, as you said, the newness, the new job, the new car, the new house, whatever it is that we're aiming for, and how addiction will steal that from us. And then the relaxation one that you mentioned, I really hate the word meditation, but it's such a good word because it is a good thing that we should do. So when somebody hears meditation, I think the movies in Hollywood have ruined meditation, and we think it's this out-of-body experience where we float off the chair. But what we mean by meditation, for me, is just sitting with the Word of God, asking God what certain passages of Scripture would be, becoming quiet, becoming still, and studying the Word and asking God, how is this applicable to me, and how can I live with this Word that you've given me? So I don't think we should get too about the meditation, but we should be getting quiet, and we should be spending time with God. The last point you said is we need to call somebody. We're not in this alone. For me, personally, in the last 6 years that I've been back at Reach, I have always extended that to people and said, phone me. I'm a lifeline for you. But people don't use the lifeline. There's maybe 1 or 2% of people that use the lifeline. Maybe people just don't want to speak to me, but speak to somebody. Just use that. As you said, you're not in this alone. So let's say now we've gotten to all of this stuff now. We've know what a trigger is. We know what can be a trigger. We know how it relates to our senses. We know what we should do when we trigger. Let's say that we are triggered, and we go past the point of just it staying a trigger, and we actually slip, lapse, or relapse. What do we do then?
Brian, the first thing, people always, they self-doubt themselves or say, oh, slipped, so what the hell? Why do I have to carry on the program? The biggest mistake people make is not getting up. You got to get up from the situation and learn from where your mistakes are. If you have a relapse prevention plan, go back and look at your plan. Where is my fault, or where's the cracks in my plan? Or what didn't I cater for in my triggers that could have helped, prevented me from slipping or relapsing? Relapse occurs when people take the focus away of the addiction and think that they've arrived. You've never arrived when you're in addiction. Return to the program. Don't stay away. Just pick yourself up and continue working at your recovery. Like I say, you've never arrived. So don't fool yourself to say, oh, I've been in a program for 4 weeks or 6 months or 2 years. Now I'm okay. Those triggers will always be there. All we do, we put them in a box and we isolate them, and we put a stronghold, a barrier around them, a boundary around them. So be smart and not strong. Avoid the triggers, avoid the alcohol, avoid the drugs. We always use the phrase slippery places for familiar faces, but it's so true. We've got to realize that we live in a society that is, I'm going to use the word sick. It's for me, it's not for you. It's self-centered. So we've got to look at our protection around what am I doing for my recovery. It doesn't go about you. It doesn't go about the next person. It goes about my recovery. So we have a false sense of control. That is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Okay, never keep a secret. If you slip or you relapse, tell your supporters, tell your programs, tell your family that, guys, I made a mistake. I know where I went wrong. Let's do this together. Let's stand up together. When Einstein made the light bulb, he didn't say I failed 1,000 times. I did 1,000 times, no, not the same way again. There's a difference. I can get up and try again. You may feel you're getting out of way with no one knowing. Somebody always knows. Never lie to yourself. You can only hide the truth from people. You can never hide the truth from yourself and God. God always knows, and you always know. So rather get it out there, get it off the shoulders, because when you start burdening yourself, you just putting this load on your shoulders. You cannot support if you do not know you're struggling. It's I don't know. You cannot support. We cannot support you if you don't know you're struggling. So that comes back to our communication. If you don't tell anybody how you're feeling or what you've did, we can't fix it, or you can't fix it. You got to communicate.
For me, what I take away from that is I love that be smart, not strong. In recovery from anything, whether it be bad behaviors, whether it be pornography, whether it be whatever addiction it could be, for me, we don't have to be strong. We just have to be smart. And being smart would be telling somebody about it. So that, as you said there right at the end, we can't support you if we don't know your struggle. You know, if we mess up, we need to face up. We need to confess and just say, listen, I'm sorry, this is what it is. Sometimes, and in my experience, a lot of the times, lapsing, I don't want to say relapsing, because then that would be over and over and over again, but a slip or a lapse is actually a positive thing, because it shows us the holes in our recovery plan. And it teaches us where we maybe need to put a few plug the holes up so that we don't fall again. But it's only that if we learn from it. So let's be smart, and let's speak to one another. Let's be open about this. And if we do make a mistake, come back to the program. Every single time. We are a program that is based on grace, and we always will be. So we got about a minute left, Greg. So thank you so much for answering these questions for us. The insight is really great. I think we can apply this to our recovery, no matter how long we've been in recovery. I'm now probably going on to my 10th year of recovery, in recovery now. And now more than ever in isolation, the triggers have been here. The temptation has been here. The thoughts come back. So we are never immune to it coming back to knock on the door and to try and get us back. So that's why we say, I will never refer to myself as an addict again in my life, but I am a believer in Christ who battled with addiction, and I will be in recovery for the rest of my life. It's a process that we're going to continually work on. So I just want to again say thank you, Greg. If there's anything you'd like to leave us with before we close in prayer, that would be great.
Brian, I think that's fine. You know, I thank you for the opportunity. You know, triggers, we can talk for hours and hours of it. This is just the basic of what we can, you know, give out to the people. They can contact you through the Word and Life website, and you can help them with it. We can explain more with it, about it. So yes, thank you, Brian.
Awesome. As Greg just said, you can go to our website. It's www.woordenlewe.com. You will find us right over there in the care section. You will see that we're there. You can click on there. All the ministries that help, and Reach being one of them, are there. You can check out our Facebook page. You can check out the Word and Life Church YouTube channel as our videos are all uploaded on there. And our numbers are all on the Facebook page. If you need help, friends, phone us, contact us. We will help you. Let's just close our eyes and pray as we close off this session. Father God, we just want to thank you. Thank you for the knowledge that you've imparted into us today through Greg. And Father, we just want to pray that you would help each one of us in our recovery. Father, it's not about us, but it's all about you. You helping us to be the best versions of ourselves, in molding us and shaping us into the image of your Son. So Father, I pray that you would bless each person hearing this, and that you would guide us and strengthen us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
Amen.
Have a blessed evening, everybody.